Packed house gathers as the Braves face off with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's a new year, and we get started in just a few minutes. Hi again, everybody, along with my partner, Braves Hall of Famer Joe Simpson, Chip Carey. Happy New Year. 2018 is finally here, Joe. A season filled with promise, a season filled with expectation, and a season that's about to start here at home.
Opening day makes everybody feel better. As the guys in the pregame show were talking about, it's a new beginning for everybody. Everybody hopes they can hit 300. Every pitcher wants to win 20 games. And as for us as fans, we're excited, too, to see what's about to happen.
It's not our first rodeo. We've been doing this quite a while, but we are excited to see this very young Atlanta Braves ball club under Brian Snitker get started here in just a moment. It is the first opening day for several Braves, and Kelsey Wingert has more on that.
You know, there's so much to be excited about on opening day. If you saw that opening ceremony, everybody is so fired up to be here. But one of the more exciting things is that there are 6 guys on this current roster who are making an open day roster for the first time in their entire career. So you can imagine for them, they're taking every second in. Now, those guys are outfielder Lane Adams, your starting second baseman Ozzie Albies, pitcher Shane Carl, pitcher Sam Freeman, pitcher A.J. Minter, and pitcher Sean Newcomb, who was named to that starting rotation. Now, I was actually standing next to Ozzie Albies in the clubhouse today when he looked at that official lineup for the first time and saw himself in there batting second. He has his whole family here who's flown in from Curacao, so this is going to be a very special day for him. But I think one of the best stories of the day had to be A.J. Minter. Now, A.J. told me that no one actually told him if he ended up making the opening day roster or not. Like I mentioned, it is his first time, so he kind of just assumed that somebody would have told him if he didn't. So today, he drove up to the ballpark hoping that he was on there, and he pulls into the player's lot. All signs are a go. Pulls into his parking spot, and it actually says Nick Markakis, his name on it. So he was like, oh no, I don't know if I made it or not, but sure enough, they had just moved him down a few spots, and here he is on his first opening day. And I also spoke to Lane Adams, who said the first person he called was his mom. Now, his mom didn't answer, and actually took her 2 hours to call him back. But, you know, Chip and Joe, you especially, you know how special these days mean to these guys. And Brian Snitker was saying for these 6 guys, there's a lot of tough conversations in spring training, but these are the best ones to have to tell these guys that they made it. So, Joe, you know how special that is.
Well, it's not just the first opening day for some of these Braves players, Joe. As we saw the umpires getting the lineup cards exchanged, it's also the first opening day for Gabe Kapler, the new manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, and for Brian Snitker, his first opening day at home as the manager of the Atlanta Braves.
They've got butterflies just like the players do. Nick Markakis told us down in spring training, if you don't have butterflies before the opening game of the season, then there's something wrong with you. I don't care how long you've been playing. It's a wonderful day.
And for both of these ball clubs, Joe, I think it's going to be interesting to see the parallel paths that they're on. Both the Braves and Phillies are deep into their rebuild modes. I think it'll be fascinating to see how the Braves and Phillies match up, not just today, but all through this 2018 season, to see how far they've progressed.
Well, I think the Philadelphia Phillies sent out a message and said we're ready to leapfrog into contention when they signed Jake Arrieta. They made it clear that we feel good about where we have come in our rebuild, and we're ready to get some veteran leadership on this ball club. And they signed Arrieta, they signed Santana. They're ready to try to knock off the Nationals.
And if you'll pardon the bad pun, for the Phillies, it truly is a brave new world. Organizationally, it is a very different environment, we are told.
Very much so. Very much into analytics that they were a little slow to come to the dance on in terms of all that's available to teams. Not anymore. The Phillies are locked in on that.
And for the Atlanta Braves, coming off a 72-win season last year, I would say that folks are very excited about who's not here, that of course being Ronald Acuna, but also excited about the promise of this young club taking some dramatic steps forward this season.
Well, the Braves rebuild too is in full mode. I think the fact that we see guys like Albies here already is a sign to Atlanta fans that things are getting very close to putting themselves in contention for the National League East title, and all that's remaining now really are some pitchers to step forward and take their place.
And hopefully the man that will take that first step is the man making the first pitch of the new season. That's Braves starter Julio Teheran.
Well, Julio's going to have to pitch a little better at home. One of the things for Julio last year was he got off to a decent start, had a bad middle of the season, but especially at home, whatever the reasons were, he did not pitch well here at SunTrust Park. 3-10 on the year, and at one point had lost 9 in a row. And Brian Snitker with a chance to visit with Paul Bird before the game starts. Let's hear what Brian has to say.
What's up, guys? We're very excited about opening day. Brian Snitker, so excited. He beelined to the dugout, but I got chills after the visit from Hank Aaron coming out in the car, and then the flyover. Yes, the F-15s, 4 of them. A lot of thunder, guys. Everybody's excited, ready to go. We're going to see what Julio Teheran's got up next.
Bertie, great to have you alongside as well. There's Julio Teheran. He's ready to go. He hopes it'll be the new and improved Julio Teheran. Joe, what are his keys for success today?
These are really season keys for Julio. His Ford keys, he worked real hard over the wintertime to improve his slider, something that kind of failed him last year. He needs to have that slider back. And the old home improvement. You know all about that, don't you?
Oh, do I ever?
He's got to pitch better at home than he did last year. We showed you those numbers. He's ready to have a good start here in his first outing in 2018.
Well, partner, as you mentioned, it is a very different looking Phillies organization, a very different Phillies club led by Gabe Kapler, and frankly, a different looking Phillies lineup. And the reasons for that we'll delve into in a moment. They line up with Cesar Hernandez leading off and playing second base. Carlos Santana came over from the Indians. He's their first baseman. Nick Williams, Rhys Hoskins, Aaron Altair, their outfield trio today. That in and of itself is very interesting. Young J.P. Crawford is their shortstop. Miguel Franco's at third. Andrew Knapp is behind the plate, and one of the game's best young right-handers in Aaron Nola will pitch in bat ninth.
That outfield group, the absence of Odubel Herrera, the Braves don't mind that at all. He hit .377 against the Braves last year with 5 homers, 14 extra base hits. He's not in the lineup today. I don't think the Braves mind that at all.
Don't mind it a bit as Cesar Hernandez gets set to stand in for the Phillies. Hernandez, a .294 hitter for Philadelphia last year. Tyler Flowers with the sign, and the first pitch of a new season is right there for a called strike, says Jerry Lane. Hernandez, 9 homers, 34 knocked in. He and Freddie Galvis teamed up the middle for the Phillies last season. Now it's Hernandez and J.P. Crawford as a fastball missed away, and we're even, 1 ball, 1 strike. Sharply hit and up the middle, a base hit for Hernandez. So a leadoff single for Cesar Hernandez. As we look at today's defense, brought to you by Humana. Start with the healthy. Here's who's healthy defensively for the Braves. Preston Tucker gets the start in left. Ender Inciarte and Nick Markakis join him. Around the horn, Freeman, Albies, Dansby Swanson, Ryan Flaherty, and Tyler Flowers.
That was a good pitch by Julio. That Hernandez still hit up the middle for the base hit on the outside corner.
So this is Carlos Santana, the former Cleveland Indian, who hit 23 home runs last year. Of course, Ryan Howard no longer a Philly. Tommy Joseph not with the Phillies. They went out and signed Santana to a big 3-year contract, and he's a guy that's hit 20 or more homers in 5 major league seasons. He's hitting second in front of Williams today, and that one missed low. Ball 1.
There's another guy not on their ball club anymore, Freddie Galvis, who arguably was the best defensive shortstop in the National League last year, depending on who you talk to. He was traded. He's with the Padres now.
Hernandez, a good lead, and Julio missed downstairs, ball 2. This is kind of the way Santana likes to approach his at-bats.
Yeah, he's been among the American League, if not the major league leaders in walks over the last 3 or 4 years. In fact, over that stretch of time, only Joey Votto has walked more than Santana.
So a high on base, high power guy hitting second behind Hernandez. Ahead in the count, 2-0. And a little tapper right in front of the plate. Flowers is going to second, and the Braves get the force. Tyler Flowers pounces in front of the plate and gets the lead runner on a nice play, and there's the first out.
Fast runner at first. Hernandez stole 25 bases last year, so this was not going to be an easy play unless Tyler picks that ball up cleanly with the first grab. Nice job.
So 1 on, 1 out as we enter the Philadelphia lineup that has their trio of starting outfielders for today's game. As Joe mentioned, Odubel Herrera's not in there. We have 4 players for 3 spots. Nick Williams is starting in right field today. Coming off a 12-homer season. Played 83 games last year for the Phillies, and that went off the edge of the glove for Tyler Flowers. And Santana moves up to second base.
That looked like a badly missed location where Tyler had to try and go over to his backhand to flag that down.
Scoreboard says that's a wild pitch. So Santana in scoring position. And a 1-ball count for Nick Williams. And he didn't get it. Something off speed. Good pitch.
Good sinker. Julio had a great spring. Excellent ERA. Just gave up a few runs, a couple in his last start. But was very sharp, very pleased with what he had been working on in preparation for this season. And that included the slider. Good spot again.
Paints the outside corner. Nick Williams behind in the count. Williams part of the Phillies' big rebuild in that he came over from the Texas Rangers. That was the mammoth deal that sent Cole Hamels, Jake Diekman, and cashed the Rangers for a bevy of talent. Williams, terrific young outfielder. Didn't get it. Ball in the dirt. Flowers pounced on that. Strike him out. Throw him out at first. 2 away.
There's a slider. Well located. Actually didn't have to throw it for a strike. At the end of the year, and for most of the season, actually, Julio was pretty much fastball changeup because he just couldn't rely on his slider on any given night.
So good to see him have that weapon back in the early pitches today as Rhys Hoskins, the Phillies left fielder, digs in. This kid made a great impression for the Phillies. 18 homers in 50 games last year. And he shoots one down the right field line on the first pitch and dumps it in for a base hit. The Phillies have scored in the first. Rhys Hoskins with an RBI double. It's 1-0.
He was impressive with the long ball. With the 18 homers you mentioned in 170 at bats. He had 5 more in spring training. This is not indicative of his power, however. Right off the end of the bat. And the wild pitch comes back to hurt Julio.
So the Phillies strike first. Here's Aaron Altair. He too a 19-homer man for Philadelphia.
I really like this guy. Battled a couple of injuries in the last couple of years, but last season just a little over 100 games played. He's put together good numbers. He's very athletic in the outfield.
And he's a big kid. He's 6'5", 223. The Phillies got him in the 9th round back in 2009. And Joe, you're right. 107 games played for the Phillies last year, the most since 2014 when he played in 129 games between the minor leagues and the big league club.
Like he tried to front door that slider there, but didn't make a good pitch with it. Fortunate to get it fouled back.
Let's see if Julio can put him away here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fly ball toward right center. And Ender is there, and he's got it. Rhys Hoskins with a 2-out RBI double gives the Phillies an early lead. The Braves are coming up for the first time next. Bobby Cox with the first chop of the new season. He looks great. Bobby managed the Braves' future stars here the other night, and yes, he had his spikes on for that exhibition.
Sure he
game.
did. This guy will have his spikes on. Aaron Nola, 24 years old, 6'2", 195 out of Baton Rouge in LSU. His career against the Braves, outstanding, and he's won his last 3 straight starts against them. 5-1, a 1.96 ERA. Last year, 15 innings, 10 hits, only 2 runs allowed, and 1 walk. Struck out 12. He's really good, folks, and he's got an outstanding curveball.
Well, Ender Inciarte leads off for the Braves. He shredded the Phillies pitching staff last year. Let's see what Ender can do with his first at bat of the season. Remember, he had 201 hits last year. 29 of them came against the Phillies, against whom he hit .354. A little roller hit out towards second. And Ender rolls out for out number 1. Here's a look at how the Braves line up. Ender Inciarte leads off. Ozzie Albies hits second for Brian Snitker. Freeman, Markakis, and Flowers. Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki had been batting 4th most of the spring for Atlanta, but Flowers hits 5th in front of Preston Tucker. Dansby Swanson 7th. Ryan Flaherty 8th. And Julio Teheran, the Braves pitcher, hits 9th.
Nola's fastball sits anywhere from 91 to 94. He's got a changeup, but a spike curveball. He props his index finger up on it to throw it, and it's a dandy. In fact, last year he threw it 30% of the time. That was the 6th most in the major leagues in terms of percentage of pitches.
No balls and a strike for Ozzie Albies. There's the off-speed pitch. Ozzie enters action today, riding a 6-game hitting streak. He finished last season with hits in the last 6 games in which he played, so that streak does continue even though it's a new season. Last year, Ozzie finished the year with a .286 batting mark over 57 games. And he had a good spring. He hit over 300 for the Braves.
Well, we talk a lot about Acuna and the prospects of him being an excellent major leaguer at the age of 20. Ozzie's only 21.
The 1-2 from Nola. Rolled to the right side. Santana makes the play and slides to the bag ahead of Albies. 2 out. Santana's a pretty good defender. That's also a welcome sight for the Phillies. Again, with Ryan Howard and Tommy Joseph over there the last couple of years. Santana made just 5 errors last season. He's part of a new look Humana defense for Gabe Kapler. Joe, a defense that will be very much, shall we say, busy depending on hitter matchups this year.
They were a good defensive ball club last year, Chip. They were 4th in the league.
Freddie Freeman sees his first shift of the 2018 season. Michael Franco playing up the middle at shortstop. All the good work that Freddie Freeman did last year for the Braves in 117 games. Well, the Phillies were a team that gave him some trouble. Freddie hit just .204 against the Phillies last year. And Nola's pitching him very carefully, 3-0.
Straight change up there on a 2-0 count.
And on 4 pitches, Freeman's aboard in front of Nick Markakis.
Last year against the curveball, against Nola's curveball, the league only hit 172 off that pitch. And in the last 2 months, the average was 103 against his curveball. That's how outstanding it is. It's kind of a low 3/4 arm slot, which makes it a little bit hard to pick up. It looks like a fastball coming out of his hand, and it's anything but.
2-out chance for Nick Markakis, who batted .275 for the Braves last year. Nick played in every game but 2. And Nola's missed with 5 in a row. 1 ball, no strikes. I kind of like the fact that the curveball is starting to make a comeback in the game.
Yeah.
It's not just sliders. Another shift on for Nick, who pops it up. Knapp gives way to Santana, and he makes the grab, and that ends the Atlanta first. We're through 1 on opening day. The Phillies lead 1-0. Park as she begins season 2. Look at our Checkers weather report. It's cloudy but very comfortable, and the wind, Joe, blowing intermittently out toward right.
Yeah, there's a forecast of rain later in the day, but I think we'll be long gone and game over by the time it hits. Let's hope so. And it's actually a good day to hit because there's no glare and no shadows.
So Julio ready for his second inning. He'll face J.P. Crawford, the Phillies shortstop. And into the knees for a called strike.
I guess the only thing you need to know about Crawford is that the Phillies thought so much of him that they would trade Freddie Galvis.
JP, a first-round pick by the Phillies 5 years ago. And he pops one up in shallow right. That'll be a can of corn for Ozzie. One up, one down.
Sometimes the hitter will tell you where he wants you to pitch him. Crawford stands way off the plate, inviting you to pitch him away. Well, the Braves busted him in. Tyler Flowers came up and in on him for the target. Julio delivered it there, and they jammed him.
So good pitch, good result for Teheran. Michael Franco is coming up. We're talking with the Phillies people. If they're going to get where they want to go quickly, they need a big, consistent year from Michael Franco. Last year he hit 24 homers, batted just .230. And I would assume, Joe, that Franco knows that if he falters, there is a plan B on this roster and under contract.
And they just gave him a ton of money.
It is Scott Kingery Jr.
This guy was striking out in bunches last year, the first 2/3 of the season. A lot of that batting average you were talking about, he was able to salvage some numbers late in the year with some good work. The Phillies played well down the stretch too. They won 13 of their last 18 games, 19 of their last 34.
And that momentum, I'm sure, is what led them to think, okay, let's go get Santana. Let's go add to our bullpen, which they did. And of course, the big hammer in rotation, Jake Arrieta, who will pitch for the first time, they believe, on April the 8th. That's smoke toward right. And Nick Markakis will gather that in for the second out.
Well, despite that good finish, they still finished last in the East. They lost 96 games and were 31 games out of first. But the encouragement, like I said, was how strongly they finished. And as you pointed out, it probably made them think, you know what, we can do that again with a couple of new pieces. We might move up the ladder here.
Andrew Knapp gets the opening day assignment for the Phillies. I think, like you, I was surprised that it wasn't Jorge Alfaro getting the opening catching assignment for Aaron Nola, but there was apparently a method to that madness for the Phillies.
Yeah, because Knapp is good at receiving the ball and gets a lot of low strikes called by the way he catches. They thought that was a good call today with Nola on the mound.
Now, please, you're not telling me that Knapp is an excellent receiver of the ball, which we know is a very important skill for a major league catcher.
It's in their notes. They would be in Washington's notes.
Yes, they would be.
Yeah.
Knapp, a second-round pick by the Phillies back in 2013. He played 56 games last year. So he's no stranger to this staff. And went to Cal Berkeley.
His dad played pro ball, played in the Angels organization.
Flowers can't find it after Knapp swung and missed. And the throw to first with the Freeman stretch retires the side. Second strikeout for Teheran. He's got a perfect second.
and by Delta Airlines.
Anytime you have the privilege of coming to a Major League ballpark, you marvel at how beautiful the place looks. SunTrust Park, no exception, and especially so on opening day.
And as bad as the winter has been in Atlanta, you know, more high fives for Ed Mangan and his crew, because it looks wonderful. I like this 4 o'clock starting time. How about you?
Nice. Like it a lot. See if the Braves can come back here in the second with Tyler Flowers, Preston Tucker, and Dansby Swanson, the first 3 up against Aaron Nola. And the young right-hander turns it loose, and Flowers gets one of those low strikes called. 0-1.
Tyler had a, what should we call it? It wasn't a good spring training. Saw that average, but the same thing occurred last year, and look at the year he had when it counted.
99 games for Flowers, 12 homers, 49 driven in. He and Kurt Suzuki combined to have a great offensive year. Out of the catcher's position for the Braves. And on opening day, Joe, the Braves with something that in this era of Major League Baseball is very rare. They're carrying 3 catchers on their opening day roster.
And Chris Stewart also on the ball club. And that is a rarity, especially for Atlanta.
That's rolled foul. Here's a look at how the 25-man roster shakes out for the game in Atlanta today. Chris Stewart, Kurt Suzuki, Tyler Flowers, the catchers, 5 infielders, 5 outfielders.
I don't think there were any great surprises in there. I know there was some disappointment, especially for Rio Ruiz, who had a decent spring training. But one of the things that the Braves have really put an emphasis on is defense. And when they go out the week before the end of the spring training and get Flaherty and Borges, that kind of says to you they mean business when it comes to catching the ball. Those are 2 outstanding defenders.
And for a team that, at least on paper at this point, the way it's constructed, the Braves don't appear to have a lineup laden with home run hitters.
No, they don't.
Preventing runs is going to be hugely important. And Brian Snitker's on his way out to check with Tyler Flowers, who's going to talk things over with the new head athletic trainer of the club, George Polis.
That hurt. Something hurt. And when he looked at the dugout, that was a surefire thing. I hope it's not an oblique. I hope it's not anything serious in his back. But that, what a way to start your year in your first AB, huh?
So Tyler Flowers is not going to be able to continue. He's going to leave here in the first inning.
Wow.
And it's a good thing the Braves are carrying 3 catchers.
I mean, timely conversation we were just having. I'd say so. Yeah, he had to let go of the bat right away. And also, with Knapp going to the mound to talk to Nola while we're waiting for a substitute, that does not count as a trip to the mound in today's rules. If there's a break in the action like this, the catcher can go out there and talk to his pitcher.
In fact, when you come to SunTrust Park and you see the line score up on the scoreboard in straightaway center, you will see runs, hits, errors, and MV. That, of course, stands for mound visits. And during an injury timeout, you're right, that does not constitute one of those non-pitching change mound visits, of which each team is awarded 6 at the start of every single ball game. So it'll be Kurt Suzuki taking over for Tyler Flowers here in the first inning.
What a piece of bad luck for Tyler in his first at bat. Hope it was nothing more than like a spasm or something. We don't know.
So it will be Kurt Suzuki getting the first pinch hit assignment for the Braves this year. And Kurt coming off a 19-homer season last year in which Kurt played 81 games and hit .283.
Not sure where Kurt was when this happened. I'm sure he didn't expect it to happen the first at bat to Tyler. It's almost like the pitcher being given all the time he needs to warm up. Same for Kurt to get loose.
And in case you wondered if Nola is able to throw strike 3 here to add insult to injury for Tyler, that result goes to his line. Any other result in the at bat goes to Kurt Suzuki. So let's see what happens with a 2-2 count with nobody on or out here in the Atlanta second. And Kurt pops it up. Santana at first puts the squeeze on that, and there's the first out. Mentioned a moment ago that on paper this is a Braves team that's not blessed with a lot of top to bottom offensive thump. This man is in the lineup because he has the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark. We saw Preston Tucker hit a couple of deep line drives down in Orlando, and his offensive numbers, Joe, were certainly impressive.
Yeah, they were. That's why he's on the ball club, the way he hit the ball down there.
As you heard Kelsey report, there are a number of Braves who are making their first opening day appearance. That's not the case for Tucker. Well, last year was with the Astros briefly. And the 0-2 pitch is slapped toward left. And Rhys Hoskins hasn't seen a whole lot of time in the outfield. Handles his first chance without difficulty. 2 out. Different look at the plate for Dansby Swanson. He's working on some things this spring. Dansby hit .232 last year for the Braves. You know all about the trip back to Gwinnett. And he swings the first one and pops it to shallow center. Altair gallops in, makes the play. And Nola has his first 1-2-3 inning. Top of the third, 1-0 Phillies. Nothing, and how apropos was that sponsorship notification, because the chairman and CEO of SunTrust, Bill Rogers, is with us. Mr. Rogers, welcome.
Great to be here.
Beautiful place, huh?
It's as exciting as it was last year.
I was going to ask you.
It feels exactly the same.
What a difference a year makes, huh?
Exactly. Hopefully we have 24 more years of these.
We would like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We would like that.
Did the impact of the sponsorship do what you wanted it to do?
I would say it exceeded our expectations by some multiple.
Great.
By the way, Kurt Suzuki's going to take over behind the plate. He's getting a chance to stretch out and get loose. Remember, he was sitting on the bench cold when Tyler Flowers hurt his back swinging the bat. The last thing the Braves need Kurt to do is to pull a hamstring or strain a groin because he's not loose. So Julio Teheran will go to work facing Aaron Nola, the Phillies starting pitcher. It's 1-0 Philadelphia in front. Mr. Rogers, you had a whole group of your co-workers holding the American flag before the game.
Well, not only were there co-workers, it was part of our veterans network and their families, and I got to be with them. It was fantastic. It was a great moment for our company to celebrate our teammates who served their country and served our company so well.
That's got to make you proud that so many members of the military are working with SunTrust these days.
Absolutely.
1 ball, 1 strike to Nola. That missed outside. It's 2-1. How do you quantify what the naming rights have meant to your company?
You know, it's difficult to quantify. You look at, advertising mentions and those kinds of things. But what we look at is, did the feelings happen? Did the programs happen? We had 30,000 plus people come to the on-up experience. So all the things that we think about, just the community response to SunTrust Park, and the fact that you opened this broadcast talking about SunTrust. I mean, all those things.
3 balls and a strike to Nola. And Julio Teheran just walked the pitcher.
Well, on up. Talk about that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we made a decision to try to do things to help all Americans gain financial confidence, and they can do that by going to onup.com. So you don't have to be a SunTrust client. But if you want to get some tips and tools on how to improve your own financial confidence, you can do that through onup.com.
Almost like a financial class of sorts.
Oh, it's more than a financial class, absolutely. But you can go as deep as you want to go.
Cool. I was going to ask you, how long does that take? I don't know if there's enough time for this side of the booth. As Cesar Hernandez digs in, he's singled with the first hit of the year for the Phillies. And where's that on-up experience? Is that here at the ballpark?
It's right here, right on in the Battery. Absolutely.
Julio back to the stretch with Hernandez. 1 ball, no strikes. And that one split the plate for an even count.
Always a lot of excitement for opening day. Not just the players, but the fans as well. What does it mean to you and your company to get this season underway?
You know, it was a great day.
Double play ball. And Dansby turned it. Julio needed that.
It was a great day at SunTrust, knowing that it's opening day. We had lots of teammates out here. Again, the Veterans Network, volunteers all around at the on-up experience. Just a great sense of getting something started and being able to help people.
And I'm assuming too, with all the work you guys put in to prepare for this, especially when it comes to the flag ceremony, to see it come to fruition, it's a real positive.
It's amazing how much work people put into it, and I have the great job. I get to take credit for all the work they do.
Here's Santana with 2 outs, bases empty. He scored the first and only run of the day for Philadelphia. No balls and a strike. Well, I like what you said when you first stepped into the booth. The great thing is the Braves in SunTrust Park are going to have a very long, productive, mutually beneficial 25-year relationship. That's almost unheard of in this day and age.
Well, and it was unique in the fact that we established it, before, as the park was announced. That didn't happen. That hasn't happened before.
1 ball, 1 strike. Was it difficult making that so-called leap of faith for something that was still basically on the drawing board in blueprints rather than in brick and mortar?
You know, the interesting thing, we spent time with the Braves leadership and talked about principles and values, and once we sort of aligned there, actually the rest of it was pretty easy.
And here we are with a 1-2 pitch. It's smoked up the middle. Oh, nice pick. Long throw. Inning over. Julio Teheran walked the pitcher but got out of it. Mr. Rogers, always a pleasure.
Great. Thank you so
Enjoy
much.
opening day. We'll see you next year, if not sooner.
Happy opening day.
Thank you.
TV. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to MLB.tv for all the details. One of the newest Braves, Ryan Flaherty, leads off, getting the start at third base on opening day. This is Ryan's 7th opening day roster, his 3rd start on opening day. And he lays down a bunt, and it's a beauty. Will it stay fair? It will! A bunt single for Flaherty as it hit the bag.
They had a shift on for him, and he took advantage of it.
Now, how many of you in Braves country had Ryan Flaherty as the man that would pick up the first hit for the Braves in 2018? Well, he's your guy.
That is awesome. I was afraid it would come off the grass and kick left. Perfect.
So that sets things up for Julio, arguably the best bunter on the team.
Yes.
See if he can lay one down. Franco charges at third. Julio takes the strike.
Julio had 12 sacrifice bunts last year. If you want to compare him to Aaron Nola, Nola had 2.
And Joe, I think it's safe to say these are the situations the Braves are going to have to cash in if they want to be successful this year. Get him over, get him in. And there's that hook. Boy, it's
caused him to flinch. These are the type situations the Braves have to be, let's say, above league average on success rate. That's why you'll probably see a few more hit and runs this year, a few more stolen base attempts.
Did he offer? He did. And Julio strikes out. So 1 on, 1 out, back to the top of the order. Again, the Braves have already lost Tyler Flowers. For more on what's ailing him, let's check in with Kelsey.
Thanks, Chip. Yeah, we saw Tyler Flowers leave the game during his 2nd inning at bat. The Braves did officially announce that he left the game with left oblique discomfort. They did not say if he's day-to-day or if there's any time frame, but it is officially left oblique discomfort.
Thank you, Kelsey. Remember, the Braves without Johan Camargo, who has a back and an oblique problem. Braves are hoping to get Johan back in about a week or so. So both Teheran and Nola now have gone through the lineup once. Let's see if the Braves have better luck with Ender Inciarte the 2nd time around. He bounced out to 2nd to lead off the game for the Braves.
Situational hitting will also be a big part of the Braves offense, trying to take advantage of opportunities like this, where maybe Ender can pull the ball in the hole, set up a 1st and 3rd spot for Albies.
Didn't get the fastball, even count.
This guy's good, folks. He was 12 and 11 last year with a 3.54 ERA. That was the 11th best ERA in the National League. He had the 12th most strikeouts, the 13th lowest batting average against, and the 9th best whip, walks and hits per innings pitched. He's really good, and he's only going to be better this year.
I was going to say, a winning record for a team that finished 30 games under 500.
Yep.
That's
Steve Carlton like.
Awfully impressive. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Ender didn't get it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One, 2. Skied toward left, slicing away from Hoskins. That's into the seats foul. And we'll do it again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Great day of festivities at the ballpark today in Atlanta. We just heard from Bill Rogers and the great folks at SunTrust. How about the ceremonial first pitch thrown out by this guy, Hall of Famer Chipper Jones? A strike and everything, man.
A little heat on it too.
Heat it too. I told Freddie, I said, don't let me go down in that back cage to get warmed up before I go out there. Yeah, it was. I'm just glad I had a couple bets with some friends, whether I bounce it or not.
Well, I mean, it was a perfect strike.
I agree. Totally. Yeah.
Of course, he puts down curveball sign. Framed it pretty well, too.
He did all right. He brought it from outside in. I like it.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. 65. Don't tell me that.
65 miles an hour.
We also had a bet on if it would make 70 or not. So,
okay.
You know, I felt like it was at least 82, 83.
I know it felt like it. Your arm will feel like it tomorrow.
I know, exactly.
So let me ask you the question that I'm sure everybody's asked. How has life changed since that call came from Cooperstown?
Well, it takes a little longer to sign the autograph. Takes a little longer to be introduced, but just a really cool feeling nonetheless. I mean, never played this game to get to this point. I played this game because I loved it and, you know, loved playing for Braves country, and just kept my head down and tried to do my job every day, and look what happened. You know, it's kind of one of those things that just kind of jumps up and bites you.
And day after day, week after week, it all just begins to add up.
Yep. And Willie Stargell always told me, he was one of my first, you know, hitting instructors in minor leagues, and he said, you know, the batting average is going to go up and down. The runs scored, the RBIs, home runs are just going to keep piling up, and just keep your head down, do your job, be 1/9 of the equation that helps your team win, and those numbers will be there.
Well, they certainly were for you, no doubt about that. 1 ball, 1 strike for Ozzie Albies. They just have their hands full with this guy, don't they, Aaron Nola?
I tell you what, the Phillies in general, you know, I mean,
right.
For the last couple of years, they've been the burr up under our saddle, but you know, Julio keeps them to 1 run. We've got to score eventually. Hopefully we'll do it tonight and kind of get this season started on the right foot.
Swing and a miss. Albies down on strikes. Nola struck out the side after giving up the bunt single. Chipper, can you stick around for another half inning?
Yep.
Got a lot of questions for the Hall of Famer Chipper Jones as we continue on opening day in Atlanta. Jerome Jurinovich on Braves Live said it best. Seems like the Braves had Cooperstown cornered for like the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we're gonna have our own wing up there here pretty soon. Hopefully we're not done. You know, I'm so happy to see, you know, the conversation still open about Andrew. You know, I mean, 10 Gold Gloves, 430 homers. You know, was my bodyguard for so many years. You know, here in Atlanta, and just, you know, people always ask me who was the best position player that I played with, through the years, and it was Andrew Jones. I mean, he was just a very dynamic player and the best defender that I've ever played with.
Nick Williams flies out to start the Phillies' fourth.
Yeah, I agree with you. I hope that conversation continues, because I certainly think he's worthy. And I saw Ken Griffey Jr. break in. I got to watch him play defense, and Andrew was right there, every bit as good as Ken.
100%. I mean, defensively, we can argue about who the greatest center fielder of all time was, whether it's Mays or Mantle or Griffey or Andrew. Defensively, I don't think there's much of an argument.
Yeah,
we could sit here and try and compare numbers offensively. I watch the guy play every day, and there is not another defender I would want in center field than Andrew Jones.
Rhys Hoskins, the batter, he is behind in the count 0-1. We talked to Tom Glavine and occasionally Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, certainly about what Andrew meant to them defensively. It's interesting to me that you talk about what he meant to you offensively, your bodyguard, the guy protecting you in the lineup. That's hugely important.
It is very important, and me coming from the left side most of the time, it just made perfect sense that Andrew was. No,
almost.
Not
safe.
Quite.
You're
Okay.
safe. You're safe.
I flinched. Having Andrew behind me as a righty, a big, powerful righty, that was big in our lineup. And I love the fact that Bobby could come to the ballpark every day and right Jones in the 3 and 4 hole and be perfectly happy with everything for about a decade.
And speaking of that, opening days, you had your share of good opening days. Anyone stick out you remember?
Honestly, I mean, I had a couple of pretty good opening days, but I think my most memorable one was probably the Jason Hayward opening day. Chip's call. Not to jump up on your back a little bit, but you did a good job, and for us to give up 3 or 4 in the first inning against the Cubs and come back against Zambrano and score 6, and Jason Hayward hit the ball out of the ballpark against Carlos Zambrano. I was on base, man. That place was rocking.
It was pretty awesome.
I was about as loud as I ever heard Turner Field.
And we're hoping that in the years to come, we're going to have that same kind of thunder back-to-back like you and Andrew in the lineup with Freddie Freeman and Ronald Acuna. I know everybody's talking about Ronald and know how many people wanted to see him here opening day. We understand the business of why he's not. You have seen him, so with your Hall of Fame trained eye, tell us what you think about Ronald Acuna.
Well, we can be wrong too, but I have no problem, having watched this kid come up through the minors and seen him in spring training the last 2 years. I mean, it's all there right in front of him. I mean, he's so much further developed than I was at 19, 20 years old. It's not even funny. I think this kid, by the time he's 24, 25 years old, is going to be, in the top 3, 4, 5 players in the game. I mean, that's really the way I feel. Listen to the kid take batting practice. You can sit here and talk about exit velocity and all that kind of stuff. Exit velocity, you can hear exit velocity around the batting cage. When he hits it, it is impressive. The ball comes off. Well, I guess he got a single the other night, and everybody's raving about the 115 mile an hour exit velocity, which is, harder than any ball that was hit by an Atlanta Brave last year. This kid's got it all. Keep his head on his shoulders and keep him working hard, and he's going to be a superstar. There's no doubt in my mind.
And what's fun too, we all talk about the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel for the organization. Sometimes that's a train. Sometimes it really is light at the end of the tunnel. I think you would agree that we're getting a lot closer.
Yeah, the train's coming.
But it's going the right way.
Yeah, it's going the right way. The amount of talent that we have on the mound in the minor leagues is exciting. The couple of position players that we have, whether it's Acuna, whether it's Riley at third, whether it's Jackson behind the plate, Pache.
He had 2 bombs here the other night.
Pache could be the X factor. Pache, I mean, you're talking about when people are saying you have somebody with the talent level of Acuna, but you have a Pache who comes out, and everybody who's seen both of them play thinks that Pache is the penultimate outfielder of the bunch, you know, and that is so exciting because now you have your corner outfield stud hitter, but you also have your elite defender, and I'm not willing to say that Acuna is not an elite defender.
That's smoked toward left center by Altair. That's good at bat for Altair, who fought off a couple of payoff pitches. He singles with 2 outs and is aboard in front of J.P. Crawford.
We had scouts talk to us all last summer about Pache and how they wish they could pry him away, and we hadn't really heard much about him. We'd all heard about Acuna, of course, but scouts from different organizations saying we believe he could play center field for us next year because they liked him so much. Meaning this year.
He could play center field this year in the big leagues. I mean, defensively, obviously, you know, 19, 20 years old. He's not quite as developed as Acuna is at the plate, but this kid could challenge to be a Gold Glove outfielder in the big leagues right this second.
Tucker handles Crawford's fly out to left. Chipper, we could have you here all day, but I know you got to get down to Taylor before she gets mad at you. And congratulations on first pitch strike.
Appreciate it.
Pal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, buddy. Good to see you.
Hall of Famer Chipper Jones. 1-0. Phillies have a lead. Nola's given up a bunt single. He's walked 1, struck out 3. And here in the Braves' 4th, he's got Freeman, Markakis, and Kurt Suzuki. Remember, Suzuki took over for Tyler Flowers, who has a left oblique issue that occurred in his first at bat of the game.
Hey, this guy's he's not making mistakes, and he's working both sides of the plate with his fastball to complement his curveball. And 91, 93, somewhere in that range with his fastball to keep the hitters honest.
Well, the way Nola's starting today is the way that he pitched an awful lot in his 24 starts. Last year he had 12 starts of 7 or more innings and 2 or fewer earned runs allowed. The only pitchers to do that more were Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer. So this guy is an under radar but elite guy, and that's why he's got the ball opening day for the Phillies today.
That's why I think they are an under the radar team. I think that, and they believe too, that they can be there at the end of the year. If not at the top of the division, then it's certainly a wild card contender. They got Pivetta going tomorrow, Velasquez going on Saturday. Then they'll get Arrieta back in a few days. And I say back when he's in condition to pitch. It's solid.
And I like what the Phillies did with Arrieta. It's kind of like what the Cubs did with John Lester. maybe a year ahead of schedule, but what a great leader for this young staff in Jake Arrieta. Yanked foul down the right field line.
How did he turn on that?
Freddie Freeman is today's Yellowwood brand bringing the lumber feature.
And he brings it all the time. All those good numbers, top 10 in the National League, and he only played in 117 games.
Full count pitch. And rolled to the right side. This is going to be Crawford. Makes the play in front of Cesar Hernandez. And Freddie Freeman's retired for out number 1. So Paul Bird, you know a thing or two about Aaron Nola. He's quite a young pitcher.
I do, and you guys know I'm biased being with the Braves and now on the broadcast. But yes, LSU product. Got to watch those sneaky right-handers out of LSU. But when my friend Ruben Amaro drafted him, he said, Paul, he is at best a number 3 starter. And that's because he threw 90 to 92. He didn't have a slider, as you guys heard Chip and Joe mention. But you know what? He can flat out pitch. He's added a changeup. And it's just very encouraging to me that you don't have to throw 95 to 97 to establish that number 1 starter role. He's out there competing. He's still young. Great draft pick by the Phillies. And it's nice to see those right-handers get out and compete.
Hey, Paul, a lot has been made about his arm angle and the fact that he has such an outstanding curveball that he actually throws it from a spot on average about a foot lower than any other curveballer. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so most right-handers can't survive in the major leagues without a very good slider. The exception is somebody like a Maddox who has a dynamite changeup, or somebody that has an incredible curveball. What he does so well is he throws 2 different kinds of curveballs. He throws one that has more of a break, 12-6, staying over the top, but then he'll also go a little bit sidearm and create more of that slider angle. So as a hitter, that's hard to pick up on. You can speak to that, Joe, when they have different kinds of breaks on a breaking ball. So you may say he's a 3-pitch pitcher, but he's actually a 5, 6, and 7-pitch pitcher, depending on that arm angle.
But as you pointed out, his fastball is certainly good enough that it keeps everybody honest, especially the left-handed hitters. That was 93 in on Nick's hands, and he couldn't get around on it. So up and in with that 93 heater, now maybe coming back with a backdoor breaking ball.
Yeah, and that's tough. And you heard Frenchie on Braves Live earlier talking about Julio's fastball and how it gets on people. Aaron Nola, the exact same way, again from different arm angles, and you just pick it up late, so it's good enough.
Bayou Bengal guys, man.
They're sneaky.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing what he does so well. That's get the ball on the ground. Last year, Nola averaged almost 10 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. He's got 3 strikeouts through 3 1/3 so far today. And again, just 1 hit, and that was a bunt by Ryan Flaherty, leading off the Braves' 3rd. There's a liner to Santana at first, who had his man played perfectly. 2 up, 2 down. Nick Markakis retired, and here's Kurt Suzuki.
And Nola's only 24 years old. In fact, he's the youngest opening day starter for the Phillies in 54 years. Got to go back to Dennis Bennett in 1964.
Tough duty for Kurt Suzuki. Not in the opening lineup, but with Tyler Flowers hurt, pressed into duty. Now he gets his second look at Nola, and he smokes a fastball into the left. So there's the second Atlanta hit. And boy, did we enjoy seeing Kurt catch up to fastballs last year.
We had a nice conversation with him down in spring training about this, because he's such a good fastball hitter. And the thing that he pointed out about it and why he's so good at it is that he just tries to eliminate any excess movement, any unnecessary movement. He stays back, lets his hands work, and man, is he quick through the zone.
So Preston Tucker with 1 swing could turn the game around for the Braves. 1-0 Phillies. Tucker flied out his first time up. To center. And Altair is there, and that is that for the Braves. 4 in the books at SunTrust Park. 1-0 Phillies. coming Sunday. A baseball-styled Easter egg, you might say, as we join you from SunTrust Park for the home opener 2018.
I'm hoping the Braves put a lot of baseballs out there in the monkey grass.
Yes, sir.
Or over it.
Or over it. As we head to the 5th inning, it's brought to you by Audi. 1-0 Philadelphia. Lower third of the order coming up against Julio Teheran. A wild pitch and a bloop double by Rhys Hoskins, the only blemish for Teheran's line. As that one's yanked foul by Franco. No balls and a strike. Franco flied out his first time. That was back in the 2nd. And he lifts this one toward Tucker in left, who broke back but recovers and makes the play. And I mention Easter Sunday because the Braves don't have a game that day. Cannot remember a time ever where the Braves have not played a scheduled game during the regular season on a Sunday, but there are a handful of teams that are getting Easter off, and the Braves are one of them.
Yeah, let alone Easter Sunday.
Right.
I was listening to someone on MLB radio the other day, and I don't know who it was exactly, but they were trying to predict their division winners and their wild card team winners. And a lot of their choices were predicated on what division they played in, because of how many games they might play against lesser teams and how unfair it is. And there's so much merit to that, to go back to a balanced schedule. I thought it just was, especially this time of year when everybody's making predictions, that it brings to mind how important it is which division you're playing in. In this case, they were talking about the American League Central. That if Minnesota doesn't win the division, they got a great chance to get in the wild card again because of so many games against Detroit and Kansas City.
And speaking of Kansas City, what an awful blow they suffered on the cusp of opening day. Their catcher, Salvi Perez, carrying a suitcase up the stairs or down the stairs at home, slipped and tore the ligament in his knee. He's lost for 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, I thought he would be okay without surgery or whatever. No?
6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, man.
Grade 2 tear is what I read.
I thought it was meniscus, so that's really too bad.
And downstairs, Andrew Knapp, the 8th place hitter for the Phillies, walks. That's the 2nd walk for Julio in today's game.
He's got good stuff. You know, the base hit that drove in the run was hit right off the end of the bat. It wasn't a bad pitch. He made a good pitch to Hernandez, who got a base hit to start the game. That was running away from him. Just very unlucky in the first inning.
Well, let's see if Nola obliges and gives him an out. He's swinging and launches it out of play for strike 1. Nola walked his first time up. That was Julio's first free pass in the game.
And he was 4 for 48 last year. Four pickoffs for Julio last year.
A hook of his own from Julio. 0-2.
Made Nola flinch. More so than any other position player, for the catcher and the preparation that goes into a start to help the pitcher out with the lineup, going over how you want to pitch these guys, setups, all those things. More so than any other guy on the diamond. It's hard for Kurt to come in.
Back to the mound. Let's see if the Braves can turn it. Nice recovery by Dansby.
But good for Kurt, as good as he is, to come back into the game in the second inning and help Julio out.
Dansby turns the double play. He leads off the fifth in a 1-0 game.
If you watched all the pregame ceremonies, this guy might look pretty familiar. Clay Cook sang the national anthem. He is in the Zach Brown band, and you're also from here. So it's going to be really cool to perform at any opening day. But hey, you got to do it right here at home. How cool was that?
I know, it's a huge honor, number one, and number two, I just love my team. You know, more than anything. I'm a huge Braves fan.
So you grew up a Braves fan?
I did. Bob Horner, Dale Murphy, Glenn Hubbard. I'm a huge Braves fan, even from when I was, 5 years old.
And is this your first time to SunTrust Park?
My first time to SunTrust Park. Last year, I didn't get a chance. We toured too much. And anytime that I was home, I was helping take care of our little baby.
Now, you had a pretty good view down there on the field when you were singing the anthem. What are your thoughts of the crowd here and the ballpark?
Well, Braves fans are great when they can come out, and it seems like I used to go to a lot of TED games, and then before that, Atlanta-Fulton County Stadium. It seems like everybody's matriculating here a lot more easily than they were at the other two stadiums.
Now, our color analyst, Joe Simpson, would like to know if the flyover scared you at all, because it was extremely loud.
It didn't scare me. They told me to slow down, kept slowing me down, and then I slowed down too much, and I didn't finish the anthem in time. But, those types of things happen. It's really tough to coordinate a flyover.
Well, Joe, with the tough questions, but Chip and Joe, the Zach Brown Band will be performing here on June 30th. A post-game concert?
No.
No, just a regular concert.
They're going to set up the stage in the outfield, and we're going to play here with One Republic.
They got a full-on show going on here, so this will not be his last time here to SunTrust Park this season. Clay, thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the game.
Absolutely, thank you.
He nailed it today. It was beautiful. They may have tried to slow him down, but I thought it was wonderful.
Why couldn't somebody radio the F-18 pilots to hit the afterburners?
Well, slow down themselves.
Well, that's that too.
No, it was well done. It's always a beautiful thing on opening day, and for a hometown guy who loves his Braves to pull it off like he did today, it was great.
Yeah, that concert June 30th. The Braves will be out of town. They'll be in St. Louis to face the Cardinals. So yeah, get your tickets. Come on out to SunTrust Park.
I might not be available in St. Louis that day. Boy, I love them.
1-2 pitch. And a ground ball to Crawford at short. JP's got it. And he's on target. One man down. Another ground ball out for Aaron Nola. Here's Flaherty, one of two Atlanta hits. He got the first one with a bunt single that kissed the bag at third base. It's funny how the game of baseball works. Flaherty was in camp with the Phillies and played great for them. But there was no room on their roster after he hit .351. And as Brian Snitker told us in the latter days of spring training, look, we are still uncertain about how our roster is going to shake out. We've got some spots where guys that aren't even with the organization might make our team. Well, Flaherty was let go and the Braves scooped him up on Monday. And here he is starting on opening day.
You see that happen quite often among the pitchers. A team will pick up a pitcher that was let go and they're on the opening day roster. Doesn't happen quite as easily for position players. And the Braves, yet the Braves have two of them. Peter Borges being the other.
So Nola setting him up and knocking him down. 58 pitches with 2 outs in the 5th inning. And Julio Teheran, the batter. Julio tried to bunt but struck out in his lone at bat. And Nola delivers a strike. Game 2 of the series here tomorrow night. Hope you'll join us. Nick Pivetta for the Phillies. Mike Fultonevich will pitch for Atlanta. We, of course, will have the game for you here on Fox, as well as Saturday evening's game. Vince Velasquez and Brandon McCarthy. Easter Sunday we're off. Then we'll welcome the Nationals to town Monday.
One of the things the Phillies said that Nola would be working on this year were his splits, left and right-handed splits. He's kind of owned right-handers.
Boom.
With that breaking stuff. See how close this was. Close. Not too close for comfort.
3 balls and a strike. Julio's hanging tough.
His splits last year, 228 against right-handers, but left-handers hit 255 against him. So as Paul was talking about, 2 different breaking balls, one perhaps that he uses more with right-handers, which is more of a true curveball, and a slider that's more for the lefties.
Back where it came from, but Nola spears it, and he's got another perfect inning, this time in the 5th. We go to the 6th inning, top of the order coming up for the Phillies.
I want to give you an Xfinity game break because long ball is the theme of the day throughout Major League Baseball. Very first pitch of the season, Miami's Jose Urena serves it up, and Ian Happ says, "Thank you very much. I will deposit it in the right field seats." Cubs double up on the Marlins 8-4. Defending champs opened up down in Arlington, going up against the Rangers, and Cole Hamels says, "I think you're going to like this one, aren't you, George Springer?" Yes, he does. 3-0 Houston currently in that one. Giancarlo Stanton, the big offseason acquisition for the Yankees. The Bomber bombing one up against the Blue Jays. It is currently 2-0, and the Yankee fans are loving every bit of that, Chip and Joe.
Yeah, the Yankees are awfully good.
And they're going to enjoy seeing Stanton hit a lot of home runs to right field and right center at their ballpark.
What a difference a park makes. Instead of the cavernous dimensions of Marlins Park, the short porch and right at Yankee Stadium will be very inviting. Another big name hit a home run today. Eduardo Nunez of the Red Sox. He hit an inside the park home run for Boston on opening day. The first by a Red Sox player in the season's first game since Carl Yastrzemski in 1968.
Outfielders must have collided on that one.
But they all count.
Yes.
And what should be a great race. The Red Sox, the Yankees, and don't count out the Orioles. They like their chances with a revamped pitching staff. Here, 1 run. All that's been scored by the Phillies. It came in the first inning with 2 outs. Julio's pitching well. 68 tosses for him. A couple of walks. A couple of strikeouts. And Cesar Hernandez, the Phillies leadoff man, goes to work first here in the 6th. Good change.
Beauty. Good stuff.
And here we are in what has turned out to be in our game the last couple of years, maybe the most interesting topic of discussion. Starting pitchers facing a lineup a third time. That's exactly what Julio and Nola are about to try to do.
And I was trying to hurry to finish my point as we went to a break in the top half of the last inning about Kurt. It's not easy to come into a ball game having not gone over the scouting report with your pitcher, talk about how you want to pitch guys, and just jump right into the fray. So tip of the cap to a veteran who's doing a good job back there with that.
Full count for Hernandez. Wind picking up and blowing toward the right field corner. And that's the direction Hernandez hits it. It's carrying out to the track. That ball is going to fly into the Atlanta bullpen. A home run for Cesar Hernandez. And the Phillies extend their lead to 2-0.
That wind just got up too. He hit 9 home runs last year, 7 of them left-handed, and jumped on that one that was right down the middle. That was another changeup, but not where Julio wanted it.
So it's 2-0 Phillies. Carlos Santana the batter. He scored the first run in the first inning. He reached on a force play and he's grounded out to second. Two balls, no strikes.
This guy was impressive in the first inning. Came running in from first base. I know he was holding Freeman on at first, so he didn't have as far to go, but hustled in and caught that pop up right in front of the plate to help Knapp out.
2 balls, 1 strike. He's an excellent defender. He's got power. And again, in this sabermetrically inclined Philadelphia front office, he gets on base a lot. And he tries to lift one towards center. Look at that ball carry out. Ender will drift out onto the warning track. He hit that straight up the elevator shaft and he almost hit it out of the park. So 1 in, 1 out. Santana's retired. On this date in baseball history presented by Geico, Today, Julio Teheran makes a little Braves history, his 5th consecutive opening day start.
And you know what's cool about that is that Urania made the start tonight or this afternoon for the Miami Marlins, and it was the 7th year that they've been playing in their new ballpark. They've had 7 different opening day starting pitchers there. So that's another tip of the cap to Julio.
And quite obviously for the Marlins, had the tragedy of Jose Fernandez not occurred, we'd be talking about him making his 3rd straight opening day start for Miami. No balls and a strike for Williams, who struck out and flied out. And didn't get that. It's 0-2. Nick Williams came to the Phillies with Jorge Alfaro, Alec Asher, Jared Eichhoff, Matt Harrison, and Jake Thompson in a big Cole Hamels deal at the deadline in 2015. Swing and a miss. Williams was heated up and struck out. 2 away after the home run. Julio's 3rd strikeout of the game. And here's Hoskins. Be interesting to see how the Phillies align their outfield for game 2 of the series. A lot of options for Gabe Kapler. Hoskins one of them. He has the Phillies' first RBI, a bloop double in the 1st. And taken low, ball 1. This guy and another youngster named Dylan Cousins absolutely lit up the Phillies minor leagues with a ton of home runs a couple of years ago. Dylan Cousins at Reading hit 40 homers and drove in 125 runs and struck out 186 times. And Hoskins not far behind. He had 38 homers and drove in 116, but much better plate discipline. 71 walks and 125 strikeouts.
It's a pretty good pop for Double-A, huh?
Yeah. Which might tell you why Hoskins is here right now and Cousins isn't quite ready. This man finished 4th in the Rookie of the Year voting last year. He didn't make his major league debut until early August. And hit 18 homers in 50 games.
There was a stretch there. I remember when he would hit a home run, the next day we're like, has Hoskins hit a homer yet?
Right.
You know, every day.
We had 25 RBIs by the time he finished his 19th major league game last season for Philly. And that clipped him on the way by. That was the 2nd fewest games needed to reach 25 RBIs among players who made their big league debut since the RBI became a stat in 1920.
I think he tied Joe DiMaggio.
Something like that. Yep.
I just got his jersey.
So the first visit for Chuck Hernandez with Julio Teheran here, with Hoskins aboard with 1 in, 1 on, 2 outs, and Aaron Altair coming up. And there is action beginning in the Braves pen as Julio approaching 90 pitches.
He did pitch into the 7th inning on one of his last 2 starts in spring training, trying to build up some endurance. But I don't believe on that occasion he had pitched close to 90 pitches.
Rex Brothers is the first Brave up and throwing. Braves will have the top of the order coming up in the 6th. It's a 2-0 Phillies game. Philadelphia with 4 hits, Atlanta with 2.
New addition to the scoreboard. Runs, hits, errors, and MV mound visits. Keeping track of them on the scoreboard. The Braves have 5 remaining. Oh, pitch. Julio's disagreed with Jerry Lane on a couple of occasions today. A little low.
So a dangerous count for Aaron Altair. 2 balls, no strikes. Runner goes. The pitch is low. The throw to second is not in time. Hoskins stole just 2 bases last year, but he swipes his first on opening day today.
Well, he's 3 for 3 in the big leagues. Big horse, perfect in stolen bases at this level. Caught the Braves by surprise a little bit, not expecting him to run.
So an RBI chance for Altair here, who singled his last time up. 3 balls and a strike, 2 outs. And he loses Altair. So Brian Snitker with some pondering. He is on the top step, and now he's on his way to the hill, and that's going to be the end of the line for Julio. So Teheran with 3 walks over 5 2/3 innings surrenders the leadoff homer here in the 6th inning, and after 90 pitches, Atlanta will go to the bullpen for the first time with Rex Brothers. 2-0 Phillies have the lead on opening day. We'll tell you about Rex Brothers when we come right back to SunTrust.
Last year, but it got better. But what I really liked about his outing is that he commanded the ball in and out, specifically up and in to right-handers. He stayed out of the middle of the plate. Rex Brothers in. That will determine what his final line score will be. But I think Julio Teheran has improved. I'm looking forward to seeing him pitch. Those improvements will bode well the rest of the year. Chip and Joe.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. There's Julio's line for the moment. The men at first and second belong to him as Rex Brothers. He is on in relief, one of 19 relief pitchers used by the Braves last season. Brothers pitched in 23 2/3 innings, made 27 appearances.
And he was really good against lefties. He struck out 16 of the 41 left-handed batters he faced. And the one thing that is also consistent with Rex is throwing strikes. I mean, or sometimes the lack thereof. He walked 12 batters in 23 innings. He's got to cut down on that.
No balls and a strike. If you look at Rex's spring numbers, you might say, well, it's kind of a surprise he's on the club. He did not have a particularly good spring numbers wise. 8 earned runs in 10 innings with 7 walks but 10 strikeouts. But I would assume, Joe, as a veteran on a young club, he gets a little more latitude for Brian Snitker.
Well, not just that, but because of his history with against lefties, that's a real asset. And his last 3 outings, all 1-inning stints. He did not give up a hit or a run. He walked 2 and struck out 4, so he finished strong.
Got hot at the right time. As he's ahead of J.P. Crawford. Braves again will have the top of the order in the 6th, down 2-0. A Cesar Hernandez home run into the jet stream started this 6th inning. Back. Suzuki a good stab, save that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now it's full with Michael Franco lurking on deck.
Just so you know, that trip to the mound to replace the pitcher does not count as a mound visit. Anytime you take the pitcher out, it does not count.
And Brothers loses J.P. Crawford after getting ahead in the count. Now the Phillies have him loaded.
Again, he throws hard, has good stuff, tough on lefties, but walks too many guys, especially in situations where he's brought into like this. It's not late in the game, but certainly an important place in the game with runners aboard.
So now the lefty-lefty advantage is gone for Atlanta. It's now lefty versus righty, and Michael Franco the batter. Chance for him to do some serious damage with 2 outs in the 6th. Franco's faced Rex Brothers once head-to-head, and Rex struck him out. We'd like a similar result. Pop fly foul back our way and out of reach. It's 2-1. Now he's got to throw a strike. More action in the Atlanta bullpen. A righty is up. And that one bounced up there. No chance. So Rex Brothers has come on and walked Crawford and Franco. Hoskins will score. That run's charged to Julio Teheran. And the Phillies get a gift to lead 3-0. So all this trouble started after 2 were out and a hit batsman. And 3 consecutive walks. And Brian Snitker is going to go get Rex Brothers. So Rex failed to retire a hitter. He walks 2. And the runners at first and second are his responsibility. Braves go deeper into their bullpen on opening day. Phillies lead 3-0 with trouble still brewing. Phillies are being rude guests. They lead 3-0. They've got the bases loaded here in the 6th. Fun night here Tuesday. The Braves took on their future stars in an exhibition game here at SunTrust Park. Heard Chipper Jones talking about that line drive by Ronald Acuna. Pitchers were on display. A little acrobatic on the infield with Travis Demerit, Austin Riley, good-looking third base project, and Christian Pache, Joe, had himself a whale of a game.
He really has kind of grown into himself. He was 6'3", about 170 pounds last year. He's more like a 190 pounder now, 195. He didn't hit a home run all last year, and he hit 2 Tuesday night. He's more than just on the map. It's like Chipper said, he's fast approaching being one of the top prospects.
So this is Daniel Winkler, and he almost hit Andrew Knapp with the first pitch with the bases loaded. Winkler is on his second opening day roster. He is still needing 15 days to finish up his Rule 5 requirements. Remember, Daniel spent some time on the disabled list coming back from the fractured elbow. That time does not count for the Rule 5 stuff, so he's got a little more than 2 weeks for the Braves to have the opportunity to utilize his options, and he would become fully Atlanta Braves property.
Yeah, he was only in 16 games for the big league club last year. 1-1 at 251.
He gave up just 4 earned runs this spring, but he just gave up a rope to Knapp, and that's going to score a couple of runs. So Andrew Knapp getting the start on opening day instead of Jorge Alfaro. Drives home Altair and Crawford, and the Phillies have broken the game open. It's 5-0, and 4 of those runs are charged to Julio Teheran today.
Inherited runners, a statistic worth noting all year long, and today not a good mark.
So now Aaron Nola has a 5-run lead to play with. He's walked and he's hit into a double play, and that's in for a strike. Phillies have 4 runs in the inning on 2 hits. And Nola's rung up, and that mercifully ends the 6th inning. The Phillies send 9 to the plate. 4 of them score. Atlanta's got some work to do now. Aaron Nola's got a 5-0 lead after 5.5.
SunTrust. Confidence starts here. And by Toyo Tires. Imagine loving your tires.
Well, those are the gentlemen who performed the great flyby before first pitch, and the support staff as well. They did a great job buzzing the ballpark.
Always a great sight.
As is a packed house. April in the ATL is getting ready to start for you. The best of Atlanta sports are all in one place. Hawks, Braves, and Atlanta United. Coming soon to Fox Sports South and Fox Sports Southeast, presented by Advance Auto Parts. Swinging bunt stays foul for Ender Inciarte, who's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Part of the Braves got the hands full now.
Yeah, and
nothing to Nola.
Ender has seen some of the better pitches that Nola has thrown today too. His last time up, a strikeout.
Laced toward left center. Altair on the run. Look at that ball find the jet stream. He had Ender played absolutely perfectly, but the wind just blew that over the head of Aaron Altair, and Ender has his first hit. It's a leadoff double.
You know, we learned last year early in the season, Chip, that when the wind's blowing what appears to be blowing in from left field, it actually is circulating into the stadium and pushing everything out. And that was the case with this ball. I thought for a second it might actually go out of the ballpark.
So the first double for Inciarte, who had 27 of them last year. There is his bubblegum card presented by Georgia Lottery. Let's see if the Braves can get on the board here. Ozzie Albies the batter. He is grounded out. He is struck out. Now he's going to fly out. If Altair or Williams can catch it, it'll be Williams. And on the first pitch, Ozzie's retired for out number 1. Braves have been pretty aggressive in the count against Nola, and you can understand that with him having such great weapons with 2 strikes. You don't want to get the 2 strikes against him.
But there's been some swings like that one where the pitch was so well disguised it appeared to be a fastball. The bat starts and then all of a sudden it's in the zone, but it's a breaking ball that you still make contact on, but you don't hit it with any authority.
And now Gabe Kapler's on his way to the mound, and he's going to take the ball from Aaron Nola after 68 pitches. How about that? On opening day, Aaron Nola with a 3-hit shutout is pulled with a 5-0 lead.
The numbers for Nola in the year last year, first and second time through the order, opponents hit 207. Third time or later, they hit 321. That might have been part of the factor, even though he's got a 5-run lead.
And with Freddie Freeman in the batter's box, the Phillies have the luxury of bringing on Hobie Milner, who was Freddie's kryptonite last year. Freeman's 0 for 5 against him with a couple of strikeouts. And that was our SunTrust Confidence Starts Here feature, as Aaron Nola lived up to the opening day billing for the Phillies today. So one mission accomplished. They got him out of the game. Now can Atlanta get something done against the Phillies pen?
It's a good call on the kryptonite. It was awfully tough on Freddie.
Right on that pitch though, but it's 0-2, and you can see why this guy on the mound would give left-handers such a difficult time. Really looks like he hides the ball very, very well.
He does, and got enough velocity to make it effective.
Freddie didn't chase that sweeper well off the plate. Now it's 1 ball 2 strikes. Ender Inciarte led off the Braves 6th with a double. He stands there with 1 out. Now it's 2-2.
He's tried to make pitches with his fastball in, and then tried to get Freddie to chase with a breaking ball sweeping outside, but they're nowhere close to the plate.
Over but low. Good eye, full count for Freddie Freeman, who's making his 8th straight opening day start. That extends his Atlanta record for a first baseman and ties the modern era franchise record held by Fred Tenney, who started 8 straight opening days at first base from 1900 to 1907. Swing and a drive. That one is long gone for Freddie.
good hitters hate it when one guy is dominating them. But another fastball, middle of the plate, raked out of here.
Freeman's first career opening day homer came against the Phillies and Cole Hamels in 2013. He's got another one here today as Nick Markakis rolls out to Franco at third. It's a 5-2 Phillies game now as Aaron Nola's line complete. 1 run over 5 1/3 innings of 3 hit ball. And Gabe Kapler will go to the mound once again. We're told he loves to make pitching changes. He's about to complete his second as Kurt Suzuki's coming up with the Braves on the board.
Inning with a majestic 2-run shot there, and something that changed for Freddie this offseason. 5 days after the season ended last year, he got LASIK surgery to fix his vision. He's struggled with vision problems his entire life, and when we asked him, hey, what was the first thing you wanted to see after that LASIK surgery, and he said the clock. And I said, why? And he said, to see if it even worked. So before he got that surgery, he told me if he did not have his contacts or glasses on, he could not see the pitcher on the mound. And he said his vision is now perfect, guys. But I don't think that's ever caused him any issues in this game. We've seen him do as well as he does consistently. But he's even better now.
Kurt Suzuki's not better now. He just got smoked by the first pitch from Luis Garcia. All help appreciated for Atlanta, but remember the Braves are all of a sudden shorthanded behind the plate after Tyler Flowers left with a first inning oblique issue.
Oh man, right on the lower back. Oh,
that's the oblique area.
Yeah, the Braves worked him over last year. They scored 9 runs over the course of 8 innings during the season against Garcia. And as for Freddie and his LASIK surgery from Dr. Kozarski, Freddie said even days like today that's real windy, he has no trouble.
So here's Preston Tucker. He takes a strike. By the way, Kurt Suzuki was hit by a pitch 13 times last year in 81 games. He is right on pace in 2018. No balls and a strike for Preston Tucker. That's taken low. Joe mentioned how well the Phillies played over their final 74-75 games last year. They were a 500 club. Remember, there's a team that finished 30 games under 500, and Garcia did some of his best work in that stretch. Keeps the ball in the ballpark, generally speaking. But over his last 23 games, He had a 161 earned run average. So again, that finishing flourish by the Phillies team as a group and from some of their individual players is a reason why they were so busy this offseason, thinking, hey, maybe we can quickly climb back toward the top of the East. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Wind still howling toward right. Pitch. And Tucker didn't get it. Something off speed. And that retires the side. First homer of the year for Atlanta. No surprise. It's from Freeman. A missile shot to right. After 6, Phillies 5, Atlanta now 2 on opening day at SunTrust. Sports South as we continue this series against the Phillies. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern tomorrow night on Fox Sports South. The Friday night showdown is presented by Kaiser Permanente. Nick Pivetta, Mike Foltynewicz, the featured starters for the Braves and Phillies in Game 2 of the year. It's 5-2 after 6. Cesar Hernandez got the Phillies 4-run 6th inning starter with a solo home run. He's had a 2-hit day today for Philadelphia. 9 homers all year last year. He's got his first today. And Winkler back out there for Atlanta and missed inside. Even count, 1 ball, 1 strike.
We saw Luis Severino pitch for the Yankees down in spring training a few days ago. They had a split squad game because they did not want him to pitch at home against Toronto. They are opening the season with Toronto. That must have paid off. It looks like he's throwing a shutout against them today.
Yankees are up 5-0. That game's in the 7th inning at Rogers Center. As Jerome told us earlier, Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run in his first at bat as a Yankee. What a way to start his career in pinstripes. As it's in for a strike, it's full count for Hernandez. Pirates and Tigers were rained out today. The Nationals and Reds were also rained out. Their seasons will start tomorrow. Three-two, swing and a miss. That ball was darting in and under the hands of Hernandez. Not sure if it was a strike, but the end result is a strikeout. Second of those for Winkler. Good start to his 7th.
Man's got a good arm, and honestly, all he needs to me are innings. He needs to face big league hitters, and that thing was cutting in on him.
Carlos Santana's the batter, and he didn't think much of that strike call from Jerry Lane. 0-1.
Good call, though. Pitch track shows you it was right at the top of the zone at 94. That ball is moving in. That's a hard cutter.
One ball, 2 strikes.
You know, part of that resurgence the Phillies had at the end of the year and playing so well made me think that Pete McCannon, their manager, would certainly be back. Guys were really responding to him. I was one of many that were really surprised that they made a managerial change. Pete moved up into the front office.
And he did it before the season was over.
Yeah.
I think they had 2 or 3 games left in the regular season when that move was announced. And then, with all due respect to Gabe Kapler, that too was a very unconventional move by the Phillies. But they as a group, as an organization, are all in. As this one's blooped down the first base line but foul. They are all in on the sabermetric information availability world that is growing larger and larger in Major League Baseball. And Gabe Kapler in his days with the Dodgers was all in on that as well.
Obviously, they wanted somebody who would implement or attempt to implement whatever those numbers were telling them. Some managers are still a little reluctant to use it. They may use it part-time, you know, or try to mix it in with other information, scouting reports they have. Sounds like Gabe's more on the full-blown side of the metrics.
Yeah, and we've seen some evidence of that already today and how he's constructed his lineup, and perhaps with Aaron Nola, as you mentioned, having trouble going through a lineup a 3rd time despite 68 pitches and dominant work against the Braves. Kapler took him out with 1 out in the 6th inning. Santana launches. That one's going to be well foul. And we'll do it again with a full count. Well, Kapler, the 4th Phillies manager in the last 6 years. Charlie Manuel, Ryan Sandberg, Pete McCannon all preceded him as the Phillies skipper. Fly ball center. That'll hang up for Ender, and Santana is the 2nd out. And Nick Williams, the batter, 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts. Braves will have the bottom of their order coming up in the 7th. Timothy Miller standing by for his rendition of God Bless America. We'll have the stretch, and then hopefully see the Braves try to come back from a 3-run deficit late on opening day. And a check swing foul. Strike 1 to Williams.
Their lineup is such that you expect to see Hernandez and now Santana at the top of their order because they're both switch hitters. That's a nice luxury to have. But this place in the order, Nick Williams or Herrera or whomever. It's not a lockdown spot.
Kingery,
number 3. It's
right.
kind of odd. Hoskins, of course, will be their cleanup guy.
Little pop into left, and Preston Tucker with a sliding grab makes the play, and Dan Winkler has a 1-2-3. Top of the 7th inning. Big crowd here at SunTrust Park in Atlanta. Skies are cloudy, little patches of blue overhead. Hopefully that's a good sign for the Braves on opening day. Braves with their first matchup with an Eastern foe, the Philadelphia Phillies. And as is customary on big days and big nights at SunTrust Park, Timothy Miller, with his great booming voice, makes his way to the center of the diamond for his first rendition of God Bless America here at SunTrust Park in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia.
As we raise our voices in a solemn prayer.
God bless America, land that prairies to the oceans, white will foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet
None better than Timothy Miller. And the big crowd appreciates his great work on opening day. As we welcome you back to the booth for the stretch. Chip and Joe with our cast and crew on opening day here at SunTrust Park. It's always a special day, and Julio Teheran got the start for Atlanta and by and large did all right.
Yeah, he did okay. Needed a little earlier offensive support, but the festivities before the ball game, the ceremonies, Chipper throwing out the first pitch. I don't know how it could get any better to get these fans riled up for the start of the 2018 season. Good crowd on hand. Beautiful national anthem. Everything was good.
Pre-game parade through the battery. Henry Aaron with a tour around the ballpark. Chipper threw a strike. Didn't blow out his arm. That's good news. We had the flyover. And, of course, the introductions. And they'll march down the first base line. The crowd tomahawk chopping away. As Ozzie Albies, one of 6 Braves to make their opening day debut. Even Bobby Cox got in on the fun as Atlanta and the Phillies in a 5-2 game. So the pregame ceremonies were great. Jerome, the game highlights themselves. Well, Braves have some work to do, don't they?
Yes, indeed they do, fellas. And it was very interesting how Philadelphia seemed to jump out there early on, Nick Green and Brian and Jeff, when we talked about Julio needing to do better at home. First inning, next thing you know, Hoskins with the RBI double. What happened there, Nick?
Not a bad pitch. Hoskins go down and gets it. That's his first hit of the season. Started the season off right.
And then Brian in the 6th, Hernandez had 2 hits and one of them a home run.
You know, Hernandez has always hit the Braves pretty good. I mean, this kid has some good power, and he plays great defense also.
But Jeff, Freddie gave him something to cheer about.
Oh, that was great. We talked about it earlier today. He's able to turn on that and not worry about it. And we were talking when we were sitting here. I bet you Nola's not too happy about getting out of that game and not getting the chance to.
It's the analytics. Come on.
There you go, man. You got to follow it. But Freddie made the analytics pay that time.
It kind of got away from them in the 6th there, but we'll see what the Braves have for us. Let's get you back now to Chip and Joe.
So home 7th. It's late for Atlanta. You've got 7, you've got 8, you've got 9 coming up. Garcia's back out there for the Phillies. Again, not a guy that gives up a lot of home runs. So see if the Braves can play a little small ball here and get some runners on for the top of the order, which is lurking as well.
Nice to get that leadoff man on.
Dansby's 0 for 2 in the game. Braves have 4 hits in total and a quick strike at the knees. And Dansby didn't think much of that.
One of the adjustments Dansby made with his hands was to try to help him be a little quicker to fastballs. His average against fastballs last year, not good. And if you're trying to pull everything and you're using everything but your hands, you're going to slow your bat down and going to take away from any chance you got to catch up. That's why Kevin Seitzer was trying to help him be a little better going to right center, take the ball the other way. You get a hanger, then pull it.
No balls, 2 strikes, nobody on or out. Dansby broke his bat, rolls to second. He's out by an eyelash at first.
I mentioned that the Phillies were 4th in the National League in defense last year. That was a very good sign, but everything else was not. They were 12th in batting average, 13th in on base percentage, 12th in homers. Believe it or not, in that ballpark. I don't think they will be this year.
No.
10th in team ERA.
Big crowd announced 40,208. Braves announced that a moment ago, a sellout. As Flaherty rolls toward short. And Crawford takes care of that. So 2 outs. The end of the line for Dan Winkler. He'll end up with an inning and a third, 1 hit and 2 strikeouts. Lane Adams has grabbed a bat. He'll come on and pinch hit. Braves have 9 groundouts and 3 strikeouts in the game as an offense so far. Nola, Milner, and Garcia, the 3 who've worked for Dave Kapler to this point. Peter Moylan will make his season debut next. At the middle of the Phillies order coming up. Adams rolls toward third. Franco charges. Fast runner. Long throw. Not in time. Infield hit for Adams.
No way. No way was he going to get him. Not with one of the fastest guys in the league.
There's the first pinch hit for Atlanta this year.
Good pitch, too. Rolled over the top of a slider, but hit it in the right place, right down the line.
And Gabe Kapler's on his way out to make another pitching change for the Phillies. You got Ender Inciarte. He wants the more favorable matchup. That'll be the end of the line for Garcia, who works an inning plus with a hit and a hit batsman. That lets you stream every Braves game right from your mobile device. The Fox Sports crew is getting fans connected in just 3 simple steps. Download the app, sign in, and start watching. Braves baseball on Fox Sports Go is presented by your Atlanta Hyundai dealers.
Here's another guy that got off to a real slow start last year for the Phillies, but finished strong. Adam Morgan. We've seen him in the rotation. Made a couple of starts against the Braves, and he's from Marietta. Went to Kell High School. There are his numbers from last year. But he finished up on a good note. Had an ERA of 169 over his last 21 games. But again, another guy who struggled against the Braves. An 8.53 ERA, 6 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings last year.
So Ender Inciarte with 2 outs and Adams at first is the batter. The Braves, as you might recall last year, were a very exciting team in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. The Braves had a .273 team batting average against, by and large, other teams' relief pitchers. The only team that had a higher batting average from the 7th inning on in the game was the world champion Houston Astros. So that gives you some hope. A couple of 2-out runs here wouldn't hurt the Braves as Ender takes a strike. Phillies got a single run in the 1st. They scored 4 in the 6th inning. Braves 2 runs came on a 2-run homer from Freeman back in the 6th. So we're 5-2 in the 7th.
Four-pitch pitcher, fastball, low to mid-90s. A lot of sliders, a lot of changeups, but especially the lefties, a lot of sliders.
Ender's got to do some extra work here. 0-2.
Back up what you were saying, Chip, about their late inning hitting. They had 20 last at-bat wins last year, most in the majors. So they got a lot of time tonight.
Still have 7 outs. And maybe more if they can get it tied. Ender hanging tough. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He doubled ahead of Freeman's homer in the 6th. Get Ender with a 201 hit season last year. He scored 93 runs and torched the Phillies at the plate. Sharply hit towards second. Hernandez will field, set and fire, and that retires the side. We are through 7 in Atlanta. It's still Phillies 5, Atlanta 2. At T-Mobile.com/MLB. Braves fans still chopping away after 7. 5-2 Phillies in front. Peter Moylan will come on and pitch for the Braves, the 3rd reliever and 4th pitcher overall to work on opening day.
Peter still has, and you see the number of games he was in last year with Kansas City, that tied for the most in the major leagues. He still holds the record for most games appeared in for Atlanta, and that was 87 back in 2009.
Well, he's got the middle of the order coming up for the Phillies. It starts with Rhys Hoskins. He's got a double, an RBI. He's been hit by a pitch, stolen a base, and he scored a run.
Yeah, that hit by pitch, it just grazed his jersey. Came with 2 out. Their home run had already been hit by Hernandez, but that started the second rally that led to 3 runs.
Yeah, hit batsman, 3 straight walks, and then a 2-run single by Andrew Knapp, the catcher. There's a strike from Peter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Had him off stride, but Hoskins fought it off. Mets won today. They clobbered the Cardinals 9-4. Cubs beat Miami, as Jerome told you, 8-4. Milwaukee's in front of San Diego 1-0. That game's late.
Watch out for the Brewers.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He hooks that one over third and down the left field line. Hoskins has been line to line all day today. He's got a pair of doubles. Neither one of them hit particularly hard, but they were perfectly placed. That's right, Reese. You get 2 bases on a double. So he's got 2 hits in 3 official at bats, and the Phillies have the leadoff man on to start the inning.
Boy, oh boy, is he living right. Covered that pitch down and away. A good pitch. One-handed it. Had the RBI double in the first inning right off the end of the bat on what was a good pitcher's pitch.
So Peter immediately in trouble. As Aaron Altair bats, he's reached twice. He earned the first of those 3 walks 2 innings ago and scored a run. Right on by at 90. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tied him up.
Boy, I mean to tell you, he did. He was way late on that. Right-handed hitters that think that Peter Moylan's only a sinker slider guy get a rude awakening sometimes.
Over the, oh, I thought he called strike 3. Did he? Yeah, Jerry Lane did. He never raised the right arm. That caught the outside corner. Fooled me. As Altair's rung up.
It was kind of a subtle one, right? No, he didn't. I thought he kind of did it where we couldn't see it.
So Moylan gets his first out via the strikeout. Here's J.P. Crawford. Crawford's walked and scored. Well, as you mentioned, Peter's been around a long time. Back with the Braves, an organization he knows very well. Very familiar place for him. And not only can he still pitch, I think Joey's going to be great in that bullpen. He's going to be great in the room. Braves, one of the youngest teams in Major League Baseball. And I would assume from an opposing hitter standpoint, a different enough look to give you some trouble as well in late innings.
Sure. I think he's been a great sign and addition. His 3rd stint with the team. He knows what the Braves are about. He knows how things operate around here, and he knows what is expected of you as a player, things that he can pass on.
Quickly 0-2 for J.P. Crawford. And just a little bit low. Baltimore beat Minnesota today 3-2 the final score. Houston beat Texas 4-1. Those American League finals. Fouled away. Mentioned that Milwaukee-San Diego game. I believe Ryan Braun started that game at first base today.
Everything I kept reading about Ryan Braun at first base was that he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't adapting. He wasn't crazy about the move. Sometimes you got to do what's best for the ball club.
First, the 1-2 pitch from Peter. And that surprised me because you might remember Braun came up as a third baseman. Wasn't a particularly good defensive third baseman, but he played there, and I think he played shortstop in college, so the infield shouldn't be a total mystery to him. Two balls, two strikes. Remember, the Brewers added Christian Yelich, and they suddenly have a very crowded outfield, much like the Phillies. So much so they were trying to maybe trade Domingo Santana before the season started, and that didn't happen.
And Lorenzo Cain.
Right. Forgot about Cain. Pitch number 16 from Moylan is fouled away. And I'm with you on the Brewers. I think they have a chance to have a very, very good year in the National League Central. Pulled a string and Crawford didn't get it. That was a veteran pitch. And Peters got back-to-back strikeouts. 2 away.
It's the left-hander here. Sweeper. All the way across. And to the back foot. Kind of hard to throw a back foot slider to Crawford. He's so far off the plate.
Michael Franco earned a bases loaded walk and an RBI. And Peters got the sweeper working to the lefties and the righties now.
From 90 miles an hour to 78. That's a nice gap.
Very comfortable but breezy afternoon, now early evening at SunTrust. Wind continues to blow toward the chop house and right. And a broken bat roller, foul at third. And the count, a ball and 2 strikes. A lot of changes outside in the Battery. More and more businesses have opened up. Restaurants, shops, taverns. The Comcast building is open. And the Omni Hotel is open for business too. See some fans out on the balconies of their hotel rooms taking in the ball game.
At last check, I think it's 2 teams that have moved to the Omni Hotel. Smart move on their part. Might be more than that by now.
Franco with a new bat. And now the 1-2 pitch. A little low, 2-2. Hey, we've got some brave souls in the pool. This breezy evening. It's from our Xfinity cam. Long look in from right center. Here at SunTrust, the pitch. Breaking ball hung, and Franco skies it a mile high and foul to left. And when the summer months come here in Atlanta and it's hot and humid, you know that pool's going to be, prime real estate.
Well, speaking of that, remember last year in April how this ballpark was playing? We thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a bandbox. The ball's going to fly out of here. Record number of homers and all that. But that didn't really develop. It changed as the weather warmed up.
Which is weird. You'd think the exact opposite would be the case.
Exactly.
Got hotter and more humid, and then Ball didn't seem to travel quite as far. It's traveled quite a bit today with Freeman and Hernandez homering.
Ow.
A knuckle sandwich for Franco.
Oh, nice play. Well done, sir. Glove came in handy.
Love it when the kids bring the gloves to the park. 3-2 pitch. And Peter lost him. He's piling up pitches here in the 8th, and Brian Snitker doesn't want Peter to throw too many more. In fact, he's thrown 25, and he's going to be taken down with a hit, a walk, and 2 strikeouts over his 2/3 of an inning. 5-2 Phillies. They threaten with 2 outs in the top of the 8th. Hope you'll stay tuned for the Braves Live postgame show presented by Xfinity. Opening day is always a special day, especially for that man second from the right. It's Brian Jordan's birthday today. So BJ, happy birthday, man. 29 never looked so good.
Yep. He's suddenly younger than Frank Coor. I don't know how that happened, but he is.
Well, it's because Jeff's obviously not old enough to shave.
Well, he looks younger too.
That's true.
Jeff, maybe that's what threw me.
BJ, happy birthday, and great job, Jerome, Nick, Frenchie, and the gang out on the Braves Live set. They'll join us after the ball game. Hopefully we'll have a comeback win to talk about. Sam Freeman's on. Sam was a revelation for the Braves last year. 58 games. And a swing and a miss to Andrew Knapp, who has the big blow in the game, a 2-run single in the 6th.
Yeah, as pointed out, Sam's one of the guys making his first opening day assignment, and I should say on the opening day roster. So he was a revelation coming up from Gwinnett and pitching as well as he did.
Well, Brian Snitker has said it a couple of times, at least to us during spring training, and it's important to remember the Braves used 19 relief pitchers last year. Some of that was because of ineffectiveness, but a lot of it, Brian said, was because there are a lot of Braves pitchers who are kind of on their medical rehab years, coming back from injury the previous season.
Right.
And so that really forced him into a tough box, having to figure out who could pitch on back-to-back days or innings limits and things of that nature. So seeing Sam Freeman come up and do what he did gave Brian a very, very solid, reliable, dependable relief arm. He throws hard. I mean, he's a slightly built guy, but he gets it up there in good shape. Low 90s.
He does not walk a lot of guys. He's aggressive in the zone. Goes after hitters. Typically situations like this where he's inheriting runners.
And he just got Andrew Knapp. So Freeman comes in, bails out Peter Moylan. 3 strikeouts for the Braves staff of the 8th inning. And we go to the bottom half.
The game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Well, it's late in Atlanta, bottom of the 8th inning. Braves will have the 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up. Phillies 5, Braves 2. And the Phillies made a couple of defensive changes. There's a duel Herrera. He takes over in center field. As Albies digs in and didn't get it. Swinging strike. It's 0-1. Nick Williams is in left, and it looks like he has a scouting report card in his back pocket. And Altair goes to right. Ozzie 0 for 3 on opening day. Turns around to hit right-handed now. And he's into launch mode. That ball is hammered. Herrera's not getting that. That ball is gone. Ozzie Albies hits a solo home run, and the Braves have pulled to within 2.
To something Nick Markakis said early last year, that he thought there was a wind tunnel out there that the ball would funnel through that tunnel in center field and help balls carry that way. That was a fastball out away from him. Actually, that'd have been a changeup, and he still launched it.
Remember the toy cannon?
Yeah.
He's got the same kind of power, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, the Braves have made a game of it now. We're a bloop and a blast away from tying this thing late. Atlanta doing what it did so many times last year, scoring runs late. Freeman and Albies have homered. Freddie's up again. And takes off the plate. A challenge for opposing pitchers facing this Atlanta team. Inciarte hits lefties well. Freeman hits him well. Markakis hits him well. So the lefty-lefty matchup oftentimes isn't as big as you might otherwise suspect. And now Morgan's gone 3-0 to Freeman. All help appreciated. Perfect pitch.
That's a nice 3-1 pitch right there.
Able to throw that behind in the count to Freeman. You bet. So he's right back in the count.
Made him flinch a little bit. Dropped it in there.
Would he dare do it again? Let's find out. He did, but it missed. So there's the base runner, and the Braves have the tying run at the plate. So Markakis versus Morgan. As you said, the Braves have hit this guy awfully hard in the past. Maybe lightning will strike again tonight. Markakis, though, 1 for 13 against Morgan head to head. And he missed high. Ball 1.
Slider's been his best pitch.
Off stride, and there was the slider.
It might have been that Nick was sitting on that pitch, but Morgan did a nice job. It was more like a breaking ball, like a curve ball. Took a little bit off of it, so he had Nick very much off stride.
Throw it again. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 5-3 Phillies lead 8th inning.
This will be an interesting pitch choice here. He's missed badly on a couple of breaking balls. So they throw him another one, but too wide.
I'd love to see him throw one more and just have Nick punch it down the left field line where he has 10 acres to play with if he can guide one that way. He tried to.
Yeah, he's trying to guard the plate. Do that. Take it the other way, perhaps. Nick did a better job of staying back, at least the best he could there.
Another 2-2. Chased a high fastball at 96 miles an hour. So Morgan goes to the bullpen and gets a little extra velocity. He gets Nick Markakis for the first out of the inning. And Gabe Kapler is going to go to his bullpen and go righty with Kurt Suzuki coming up.
I think Kapler's enjoying this airtime.
Another pitching change for the Phillies, protecting what's now a 2-run lead. the form of Kurt Suzuki. But first things first, Atlanta's got to face off with Edubre Ramos, a 25-year-old right-hander out of Caracas.
Sorry, Chip. He was used primarily as their setup guy last year for Hector Neris and did a nice job. Another guy with throws hard, of course. They all do.
But how many times have we said it? Kurt Suzuki can hit anybody's fastball. Let's see if he can time one here. Remember, Kurt came on in the first inning after Tyler Flowers swung the bat and injured an oblique muscle. So Suzuki is 1 for 2. He too was hit by a pitch back in the 6th. And it drops in for a strike, a slider from Ramos. It's 0-1.
Mid-90s fastball and a ton of sliders.
Kurt was fooled with that pitch. 0-2.
Well, that was a good downer.
Freddie Freeman at first after an Albies homer to lead off the inning. 1 out. He buzzed the tower, missed badly. 1-2.
Like I said, he throws hard. He can air it out. He gets ahead in the count, go upstairs with that 98-mile-an-hour heat and hope he chases. But that was obviously too high.
The slider has gotten progressively harder during this at bat. That one missed at 85.
It's amazing, Chip, how different the mindset is and focus is for major league players just from a few days ago, from spring training to now. And I know those guys on the set can all speak to that too, about how it just everything ramps up. Your focus, your attention to detail, your competitiveness, it all changes today.
Braves are one long ball away from tying the game. Popped up. The wind's going to push that out of play. And down near the SunTrust seats. And Suzuki gets another swing.
Other than the wasted fastball up, has he thrown him a fastball? I don't know that he has. And we know what a good fastball hitter Kurt is. They probably do too.
Maybe that's why, yeah. They've got Kurt shaded around toward right center with Herrera out there. A lot of room down the left field line if he can launch one there. 2-2 pitch. Another pop up headed for the stands though. Look through the Phillies media guide. So many of their relief pitchers over their final 20, 16, 25, 30 games all pitched great. Not coincidentally, that's when they played their best baseball. And Ramos was right in with that group. 2-2. There's a fastball. It missed. Full count.
And that's only the second fastball he's thrown to Kurt. '94 almost clipped him.
See, a little light rain is beginning to fall. Heavy stuff expected later on. 3-2 pitch. Freeman's running. And downstairs, one at bat for Suzuki.
Great at bat. Great at bat against a tough right-handed pitcher.
Well, Gabe Kapler's finding out what so many managers before him have found out. The agony of late inning walks. After the home run, Freeman has walked, Suzuki has walked, and now the Braves have Preston Tucker with home run power in the box. And with one swing of the bat, he could put Atlanta in front. Tucker's 0 for 3. He's been very aggressive early in the counts. 2 flyouts and a strikeout. Throw to third. Ball in left field. Freeman's going to come home and score. Suzuki on his way to third. The Braves are down a run. A wild pitch and a throwing error. And now the time runs 90 feet away where a fly ball could tie it.
Nat thought Heeper probably was going to have a play the way the ball bounced back to him. But it was a bad throw, and Franco couldn't pick it. Now Braves are in business.
And Peter Borges, I believe, has taken over at third base. He's got great speed. Again, a ball in the dirt. He can fly. He should be in great position to score. So now the Phillies are going to have to bring the infield in, even with a shift. 1 ball, no strikes is the count. 5-4 game. And a strike. And that first pitch to Tucker, I heard a tick, and he checked his swing. I thought for a moment it might have been a foul ball, but I guess it was off Knapp.
Maybe the glove. Well, he's seen him throw a lot of sliders. Now Knapp wants to know what the count is because he thought maybe Tucker swung at the first pitch. And it did hit off the glove, and he did swing.
So the board has it a ball and a strike.
First base umpire is coming in.
Well, Gabe Kapler wants to know from Jerry Lane what the count is. There's confusion on that first sequence.
Well, there's no question that Preston swung. But the count looks like it remains 1-1. That's a break for Tucker.
You bet. Tying run 90 feet away in the 8th. 1-1 pitch in the dirt.
Got to make him get that slider up. You don't want to chase it when it starts at the knees. Fly ball ties the game up.
Something else to think about. Aaron Nola came out of this game after 68 pitches and 5 1/3 innings. He was cruising. Third time through the lineup has not been a charm for him historically. The pitch. Oh, what a cut. Fouled back. 2-2.
Like he got a good slider to hit there and missed it.
And so taking out Nola opened the door for the Phillies pen. And they've given up 3 runs. Braves are a swing away from tying it or taking the lead. The pitch coming to Tucker. Here it is. Swing, line drive. We're tied.
Preston Tucker's on this team because he can hit. No other reason. He can hit. And he just made a big impression on Atlanta Braves fans coming through here on this fastball.
So Borges scores the game-tying run. We're going to see Chris Stewart behind the plate when we get to the 9th inning. Dansby Swanson, the hitter. Now the Braves have a great chance to take the lead with 1 out.
Chip, you know that there were a lot of discussions when they were making up the roster about 2 or 3 catchers. You know, do we carry an extra one of these or an extra one of those? Thank goodness they had 3 catchers today, or they couldn't have pinch run for Suzuki or have had the flexibility that they've had today.
1 ball, 1 strike for Dansby Swanson. Kurt Suzuki with the at bat of the game earned a walk. Got to third on an error and scored the tying, or saw Peter Borges score the tying run in his spot in the lineup. Pitch. Check swing. Tucker didn't see the ball as it squirted away from Knapp for a moment, not far enough to risk it in the 8th. 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, it's the hardest one to go on that one in the dirt that gets right under the catcher's glove because you don't know how far away it's going to roll.
Braves doing what they did so many times last year, getting it done in the final 3 innings. They've rallied to tie it with a 3-run 8th. Dansby with a good cut, didn't get it. 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Going to have to guard that outside part, that outside half. Got a big hole on the right side to shoot one through there if he can.
Did he go? He went around Dansby, called out on a check swing, and he can't believe it. Greg Gibson rings him up for the 2nd out on a check swing.
No, he didn't. His hands went, bat didn't.
So now the Phillies will be charged a mound visit as Knapp goes out to talk to Ramos. And you would think the Phillies would know Flaherty pretty well. Again, he spent almost all of spring training in Phillies camp. But he's got a chance to do something special in his Braves debut. He picked up the first hit of the season for Atlanta, a bunt single back in the 3rd. And then a time call. Let's battle the bullpens here in the 8th and 9th innings. Nola can't win it. Teheran can't lose it.
Peter Borges is in the game. He was in the game as a pinch runner. So he's going to stay in the game and could play left field if you want a pinch run for Tucker. And with Culberson, perhaps.
Ground ball the other way. Franco's got it. And the throw to first is in time. Nice inning for Atlanta. Ozzie Albies with a homer. The Braves get a break and tie it up 5-5 as we go to the 9th. 3 changes. Let's start on the mound with Arodys Vizcaíno. He's got the bottom part of the Phillies order coming up to get things started in the 9th inning.
Sam Freeman did his job. He retired the first batter and only batter he faced with a strikeout. Now Vizcaíno will come in. He is the Braves closer in a tie game. You can bring him in a tie game, even though it won't be a safe situation.
Vizcaíno, one of 2 Braves to pick up saves last year. Jim Johnson was the other. Charlie Culberson takes over for Atlanta at third base. He'll bat 9th. That spot's due first in the bottom of the 9th inning for Atlanta. And Peter Borges, with his scouting report, is in left field. Chris Stewart will come on and catch for Kurt Suzuki.
And he'll bat, I'm assuming, in Tucker's spot.
So we'll sort out the lineup order as the Phillies come up in the 9th inning. And this is Pedro Florimon, who's going to lead off for the Phillies. And Viz delivers a quick strike. Florimon a nice spring, 15 hits, drove in 4 runs. Started 12 games for the Phillies last year. This season ended prematurely in September. He dislocated his right ankle and missed the rest of the year.
That's a shame because he can really run.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Powder River at 97 miles an hour. And him off stride, and Stewart will pounce and fire to first. Good start for Vizcaíno. 1 up, 1 down.
When you're trailing Aaron Nola 5-0 in the 6th inning, especially the way he's pitched against Atlanta and had won 3 straight starts against them, not a lot of prospects.
No. And
so,
again,
what a favor they got.
Well, only time will tell if the so-called book was in the mind of Gabe Kapler. But you look at the eye test of what Nola was doing and how well he was pitching, with only 68 rather low stress pitches and that lead, and the Phillies took Nola out of the game and went to the bullpen with Freddie Freeman coming up. And it hasn't worked. Phillies pen has given up 4 runs. He's had 3 hits against Nola in 19 at bats. They're 4 for 12 against the Phillies relief corps.
And we told you though how Obie Miller had his way with Freddie. 0 for 5, a couple of strikeouts. That worm turned today.
Yes, yes, it did. 2 quick strikes for Cesar Hernandez, and Stewart with a nice backhanded stop. Well, do you feel like you're in mid-July form with your double switches, correcting your scorebook and getting guys in the right place at the right spot?
Yeah, I do.
Feel good?
Yeah.
This is the game for it.
Yeah.
All the changes. Hernandez didn't go, and you know what Dansby Swanson saying, if I swung, he just swung.
Yep.
And now somebody on the Braves bench is chirping at Jerry Lane, and now Brian Snitker's coming out. Did Brian get rung? Bryant's going to walk out to the third base umpire, Jordan Baker. And I think he wants to ask Baker exactly what I just said.
Maybe Baker's the guy that threw him out.
Jordan Baker may have thrown Brian Snitker out 30 feet past the third base bag. That's as far from the Braves dugout as you can be.
And Baker was the guy that threw him out of the game.
The only guy in the ballpark who knew Brian Snitker was yelling at the umpire was Jordan Baker. And he throws him out of the game. So Walt Weiss will take over the lineup card as the Braves bench coach. As Cesar Hernandez is pumped out with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. That's another subtle change for the Braves in 2018. They have 3 major league managers on this coaching staff. And Brian Snitker, Ron Washington, and Walt Weiss have also managed in the major leagues. So here's Santana. He's 0 for 4 in his Phillies debut at the plate, but he has scored a run. Dangerous hitter. And taken down low.
So rare we see an ejection anymore because of replay. That was fun.
All the way. 1 ball, 1 strike. So again in the 9th inning, it should be Culberson, Inciarte, Albies, and Freeman for the Braves. We need 1 run to walk off on opening day. Up away.
Walt Weiss had no idea he was going to be managing so soon.
Right. So Brian Snitker with 7 career ejections, as that one barely missed.
Be careful here.
Yep. It's close. Santana's going to launch.
Tailed off the plate.
(3-1). Oh, how about that pitch? He had Santana flinching.
That one backed up too. Santana took some high strikes earlier in the game, you might remember. That wasn't high. That was right there. He was looking for a walk.
Which he does a lot. Pitch. Came out. Vizcaíno strikes out the side of the 9th. It's all set up for Atlanta. 5-5. Home 9th coming up. Start of a new season, and there's nothing more exciting than a chance to win your first game in your last at bat. And that's exactly what's perhaps in the offing for the Braves this evening. As we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, it's a Braves-Phillies 5-5 extravaganza with the 9, 1, and 2 hitters coming up before a packed house.
Well, the Braves closer did his job. This Guyano struck out the side. Now this is Hector Neris, the closer for the Phillies, and what a job he did for them last year. He has saved 20 straight games. This is not a save situation. He was 15 for 15 in saves against the National League East, and very good against Atlanta. 2-0, 5 saves.
Well, here's a new member of the Braves, Charlie Culberson, the pride of Rome, Georgia, leading off in the 9th inning. His first at bat in a Braves uniform. And a swinging bunt, little roller. Neris has it with a bare hand. Throw to first, pulls Santana off the bag.
It'll go as a base hit, swinging bunt hit. Neris throws hard, has an excellent split finger pitch. Might have thrown a splitter over there to Santana.
So how does Walt Weiss play it here with Ender? Do you give up and out to try to get Culberson in scoring position for Albies and Freeman, or do you let Ender swing away here?
I do. I try to get that winning run into scoring position.
Ender had 3 sacrifices last year.
They're just throwing over to see if Ender's going to tip his hand.
Something else to remember, this Braves team was a running club this spring. High risk, high reward if you try to send Culberson here with nobody out. Let's see what we have in store. First pitch for Ender. Instead again to first.
Quick move. Quick feet getting it over there in good fashion, but Charlie doesn't have a very big lead.
Ender is bunting. It is a beauty.
Playing baseball, playing it the right way. And as you said earlier today, Chip, the Braves are going to have to do little things right in the absence of a lot of power. Did I say something about power?
Well, you did say little power. It is Ozzie Albies that launched his first homer his last time up. Can he switch hits? Now the Braves in a spot where a single could win the game. You've got Williams in left, Herrera in center, Altair in right.
They're not playing softball depth, with the runner at third and trying to take away a hit, having to catch anything hit in the air. They're a little shallow though than normal.
No balls, 1 strike. Chase that pitch up around the bill of his cap.
Yeah, that was proverbial high hard one.
The count, no balls, 2 strikes for Albies. Freeman's on deck. Culberson the winning run at second with 1 away. And that ball got away, and Albies on the recoil tipped the ball with the end of his bat while it was in the dirt. And so Culberson will have to head back to second base.
Heads up on Charlie Culberson's part, though. An accidental tap here with the bat. Ozzie knew that. Key hitter in this inning might be Nick Markakis. And he's 3 batters away.
Little pop into left. And Williams nears the line. He's got plenty of room. And there's the second out. And I think I know what you're thinking. First base open. The old adage, don't let the superstar beat you. Well, Freddie Freeman is that superstar for the Braves, and Gabe Kapler said they're going to put Freddie Freeman on, so the intentional walk sets it up for Nick Markakis. Now remember, Nick Markakis did some of his best work against the Phillies last year. Nick drove in 76 runs. 14 of them were against the Phillies last year. So another hometown boy who could drive home another with a 2-out hit. And he's got the whole left side of the infield to play with Franco well off the line at third base.
Boy, what a chance it is to take with that kind of a shift.
Pickoff play, and Charlie got back.
Winning run, they're trying their best to hold him close. Put on 3 guys on the right side of the diamond. For this left-handed hitter, he doesn't have to hit a scalded dog base hit. He just got to roll one through.
Ball 1. That gives you hope.
Yes, it does. And very patient on that split finger he just saw.
Culberson's got a huge lead at second. Oh, what a cut right off his thumbs and straight back. Even count. Brian Snitker ejected from the game, arguing a non-call on a check swing.
You just saw Kapler get Knapp's attention and pointed to his head. You know, be smart here. That to me says off-speed pitch. You know, don't give in.
Swing and a drive. Broke to deep right. Nick Markakis walks us off.
Was pointing to his head, but they weren't smart enough. They didn't know not to throw a hanging splitter down the middle. No doubt about it. Wow, what a game. What an opener, huh?
We told you 2018 was going to be a very entertaining year. How do you top this, Kelsey?
Nick Markakis. My man, what are you feeling right now?
A little bit of everything, emotion, you know, opening day. Oh, it was just a great win. We played great and got down early, but we came back and, you know, we did good things. So it was a great win for us.
Everybody in Braves country knows what you're capable of, but when the guy in front of you, Freddie Freeman, gets walked and you know that you have a chance, you take that personal, saying, hey, I can do this too?
No, I don't look at it like that. I just go up there, you know, look to do my job. You know, I was waiting on the pitch right there, got it, and didn't miss it.
Where does this memory, where will this rank for you in your career to hit a walk-off home run on opening day at your home ballpark?
Oh, it's awesome. It's my first one in 13 years, so I'll remember that one, and like I said, just a great win for all of us. So, put that one behind us and look to come out tomorrow.
Now you guys are setting the tone here. The first game of the season, you get down early versus a really good pitcher. He gets pulled. You guys have a chance to come back, and you did it. What does this do setting the tone for the rest of the series going forward?
We got to play all 9 innings, and that's what we did today. And, it's just like I said, it's a great win. A lot of emotions flying through the air right now, and, we're going to go get some sleep, come back tomorrow, and look to do the same thing.
Well, Nick, congratulations. That was just exciting as to watch, as I'm sure it was for you. Go enjoy it with your family and your cookies.
Well, time for today's Coors Light refreshing finish. The Braves against the Phillies. Bullpen Joe 6 for 15, 3 homers, 7 runs after an early exit for Aaron Nola.
And Nick still owns Hector Neris. Came through and we needed a big hit. He got a big hit.
You bet. Braves beat the Phillies 8-5. Opening day 2018 in the books, and the Braves are in first place. We'll talk about that with you on Braves Live. That and more coming up.